Communication. It is something that we each and every one of us rely on an almost minute-to-minute basis throughout our lives. When we don't know how to communicate or can't understand what is being told to us, sometimes we get confused, frustrated, even a little unsettled. Welcome to the Gaming Galleon. I'm Cap'n Rez, your host for the evening. It is the Halloween season, and it is somewhat of a tradition around here that we take the boat out to some unknown location and some unknown time to play a game, to show a little booty, and to maybe get a message or two from those of you out there watching and waiting. It's been 6 months since we've taken the ship out, and people began to wonder, will we ever see the ship of games ever again? Well, people started talking to me about it and calling me a bit of an eccentric, but I hate the idea of being predictable. So, 13 days ago, I began to broadcast from my home 13 games, featured in a new series I called, in the spirit of this witching season, Greatest Games. Post-mortem. If you're unfamiliar with what a post-mortem is, it is when a coroner analyzes a cadaver to try to determine how it came to its untimely demise. And so that is what I set out to do when I started Greatest Games Post-Mortem. We started the series, innocently enough, with a game called 13 for the PlayStation 2, a first-person shooter lost in a sea of very lifelike games, the genre of the time. Far too many first-person shooters to stand out, despite the fact that it was an excellent and compelling experience. The next day, we played Ramna 1/2. 1/2. A solid fighting game for the Super Nintendo that couldn't find much of an audience due to its anime origins. The Western audience simply wasn't ready for Ramna 1/2. The following day, we played Jordan versus Bird 1-on-1. A basketball game that featured only two iconic basketball personages. We never saw a game like this again, most likely due to the fact that technological advances allowed for more players on the field, and more licensed players meant a better chance at a buying audience. On the 10th day, we played, on the 4th day, I should say, we played Insector X for the Sega Genesis. Very good, in my opinion, horizontal shooter. However, many people complained the ship itself was just too big to accommodate flying around the enemies too much, and once again, it kind of fell victim to being in an oversaturated market. On this day, I happened to make one slight adjustment to the title. Greatest Games Post-Mortem. Instead of a lowercase e, we changed it to an uppercase. Mighty Number 9 was next for the PlayStation 4. A game with Mega Man lineage, even made by the creator of Mega Man. However, due to some negative social media marketing and a lot of broken promises, the game simply could not find an audience. Vigilante 8 came up next for the Nintendo 64. And as the days ticked on, I began to make some alterations to the title once more. On the 9th day, the 5th day, we saw a capital E in greatest, 2 of them. And on the day of Vigilante 8, we moved on, and instead of the E being capitalized in the final 3 letters, we capitalized the S. And this was the first time that I happened to see anyone making note that these games seemed to be counting down to something. What that would be, I have no idea. One person said, I wonder what 7 game will be tomorrow. They were right, in fact. The next game was Killer 7 for the PlayStation 2. Very strange, innovative, maybe too much for its own good. It is still an enigma to this day why this franchise didn't continue on. I couldn't even begin to tell you. Very strange. On that day, we shrunk the S again and put a T. The 6th day arrived, and that was when we played the smallest game in the lot for the Game Boy Advance. Good luck seeing it. Mega Man Battle Network 6, Cybeast Gregar. This was the 6th in the series, and the final game on the Game Boy Advance. It was time to move on to the Nintendo DS and reform this series into the Mega Man Star Force series, thus ending the usefulness of this series. It changed and basically became obsolete for Capcom. On the 5th day, we capitalized them all. Greatest Games Post-Mortem. And the game we played on that day, 5th day, my mistake, was Space Channel 5. a rhythm game for the Dreamcast that had one final part released in Europe for the Dreamcast and eventually here for the PlayStation 2 in the States. I suppose we don't have it anymore merely because Sega goes in many different directions, and rhythm games, they had their place and were eventually put to the wayside. On the fourth day, we played Legend of Zelda, The Four Sword Adventures. Obviously, The Legend of Zelda is a series that is quite successful to this day. However, this one was different in that you could play with 4 other people. We never saw another 4-player Zelda again, the biggest reason being the amount that the players needed to bring to the table. You simply couldn't have 4 friends on the couch. You needed 4 friends, a GameCube, the game, 4 Game Boy Advances, and 4 connectivity cables to connect them to the console itself. Simply too difficult to get all of that together and play it on a regular basis. An excellent game, but just not viable. The final 3 days, we made one large alteration. We changed the name of the show from Greatest Games Postmortem to Greatest Gems. Now, if you know anything about the gaming Galleon, it is that VIP gems are very, very hard to obtain. They cannot be obtained merely by being nice to me or putting a little gold into the Galleon's coffers. No, no. You normally have to do something very special. You have to be ready at just the right moment. You have to be listening. You have to think a little bit outside the box and maybe even do something for the rest of the crew. If that was satisfied, someone out there would be looking at a gem of their very own. And there are not many on this crew who have them. The third game was the Three Stooges. Only one other game was released for the PlayStation. This one, while interesting, I suppose the Three Stooges just weren't relevant enough to continue their franchise going forward, and at the time it wasn't looked at as a very positive game. I would beg to differ. Number 2, the excellent fantasy adventure Two Worlds 2 that featured 1-player and 8-player online fantasy role-playing. Very big in Europe, not so big here in the West. The biggest problem was it was released almost a month away from one of the most pivotal games from last generation, 2 generations ago, I should say, The Elder Scrolls Skyrim. Nonetheless, an exciting adventure. Cut too short. And finally, one. For the PlayStation 1, an extreme action game with explosions upon explosions. Why didn't it make it? I believe just too many action games out there at the time. A great game nonetheless. So, why did I do this? Why, after 6 months, did I not tell everybody, hey, we got a voyage coming up. It'll be on the 27th of October at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is exactly how the title for the final Greatest Games Post-Mortem looked just yesterday when we played one. Greatest Gems Post-Mortem. If one person could have alerted anybody, with me as a witness, that there would be a voyage on the 27th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 13 days from the beginning of Greatest Games Postmortem, they would be sitting on a VIP gem. Seems like a big trick. Why would I do it? Well, that's Halloween for you. But tricks are not just the only thing that you get in Halloween, is it? There's also always treats. If you somehow figured out that there was a voyage today, congratulations. You've got yourself a treat. Risking alienating the few people who love the Galleon so much seems like a big gamble. So, if you're going to do that, you better make sure that you can blow the doors off. So, in an effort to make it worth your time, I have chosen a game that is obscure, that is very difficult, and is terrifying to play for yours truly. Someone who generally doesn't play a lot of survival horror games. Today, we would be playing a Japanese import game. A game that I have been playing since the beginning of the Halloween season, preparing for tonight. A game that I cannot understand a single word of dialogue. A real lack of communication. I am alone on a space station. There are 3 other passengers, crewmen, who are, at this point, known to be alive. At least I believe so. But I cannot find any of them. In the meantime, the space station is being stalked by an alien race that has no value on human life. On top of it, every alien on board is invisible. I cannot see them. I can only hear them when they are 2 feet away from me. My only form of defense is an electronic gun that pulses a foot in front of it. I have to be right on top of these things in order to defeat them. And if they find me, it's over. Curtains. They instantly kill me. Without further ado, Enemy Zero. For the Sega Saturn, and we are playing it on a Sega Saturn that has been adapted to be able to play import Saturn games. And one other caveat before we get started. Generally, in this medium, there is a chat. And generally, this being a live-to-tape production, I get to see out of the box who's here, who may not be here, if anyone's here. But Enemy Zero is about being alone. And that is exactly how I'm playing this voyage. If anyone is watching out there, I cannot see them, and I will never see them until this is all over. For all I know, I've been talking to only myself. Much like the heroine, Laura, in Enemy Zero. A woman who, once again, I cannot understand because it's a Japanese import. Let's continue with Enemy Zero. Oh. I almost forgot. Enemy Zero for the Sega Saturn. We are starting on the load screen because it is very important that you see something before we get started. A huge factor in the tension of this game. Okay. I've been playing this game in the dark. This is Laura. And she has a little memory marker here. You'll see that the battery is at 29%. We've got 3 loads. The last one that I've done is 2 hours and 48 minutes. I assure you, I've played more than 2 hours and 48 minutes. We'll be loading up here. And it's important that you see this for one thing.
ローラ・ルイス。エレベーターに乗ってキンバリーのいるフロアに向かう途中、パーカーとマーカスを襲った姿のない生物に遭遇。エレベーターより脱出してダクト階層へ逃げ込みました。キンバリーのいるフロアに向かいます。
For one thing, you can tell that I can't understand what Laura's saying. Now, Laura doesn't talk much, but I can only assume she's talking to the communicator to record exactly what she's experienced up to this point. You'll see the battery is at 27%. Why? Because every time that you save in Enemy Zero, it takes 5% of the battery's power. On top of it, and here's the real kicker, every time you load, it takes 2% of the battery's power. There's only so many times you can save, and worse yet, only so many times you can load. And when the monsters are invisible, and it only takes 1 hit for them to kill you, let's just say you'll be reloading a lot. Now, this is a charging station. Let's make sure that our gun is all charged up before we head into the ventilation shaft. Are we going to find anything? I don't know. Where are we at here? 25 minutes into the voyage? Okay. Alright. With my gun loaded, we have to head back into the ventilation shaft. There is no way out of this closet. As you can see, the one way out into this room has been shuttered. Going in. The thing about this game that has been really killing me is the monsters. You know, obviously. What I'm talking about, I'll be more specific, is what terrifies me is the proximity in which you have to be with them. I've never met anyone else. I've found some other crewmen, but they have been killed. I've never seen what killed them, but I know, because it's happened to me, and every time it happens, I have to reload. Let's do a little field testing here with our gun. Why is this thing in a red? You see the red on the gun? Oh boy. I'm afraid to even shoot it. Okay. Every time I shoot it, I run out of power, and these things have to be... I have to be right on top of these things in order to do anything. Now, I do know... I was hoping that this thing would charge completely. Didn't I charge it? Now, whether or not these are dangerous, I have no idea. But I've noticed that they calm down a little bit. Now, what I want to do is... I've cleared the monsters out of this ventilation shaft for the most part. The reason I'm in the ventilation shaft, though, is I was chased in here by a monster. I was in an elevator, and I was going to the 4th floor. All of a sudden, the top of the elevator got burst into. The top of it broke open, and something jumped into the elevator with me. Obviously, I can't see it. These things are invisible. I was so startled, though. Okay, we're not going in there. I know what it is. I was so startled, though, that I dropped my gun. Now, I've managed to recover this gun from the very ventilation shaft we just saw. So we're not going to go back in there. We went to the closet to charge this gun. So now what I want to do is I want to go and try and kill that thing. As I said, though, he has every advantage on me. He can see me. I'm going to have to be right on top of him. And all it's going to take is one hit. Am I going to be able to find my way there? I don't know. It all looks the same here. Okay, oh my god, here it is. I think this is it. This is it. Jesus, are we really here? Alright, I have to think about this. We started 28 minutes ago. We're gonna stop here because I don't know what's down there. Okay? I don't even know if I can get down there. But I'm very, very concerned that if I come into contact with that thing and it kills me, then it's over. Okay? There's no respawns. We'd have to reload the whole everything, and that would just be... We'd have to listen to Laura again. I just think that right now it's probably best that we just do the booty stuff, okay? And I don't know if you can tell, I'm really unsettled. This game is extremely unsettling. And it's even more so because I've been playing in Japanese. I've been playing this in the dark, alright? The screams, the only thing that's worse than the screaming when they attack you is when you actually kill one. The booty. Alright, we do have a good deal here. We have a lot of dollar games. They were all packaged together from a retro store. Okay? And some of them, at least one, was worth getting the lot for. Now, if you know anything about retro stores, they don't package together a lot of games in a lot anymore. So it's got to be a certain system. Your first thought might be the Atari 2600. It's not the Atari. It's a little bit cooler. It's a little bit better. A little bit harder to find these things in a lot. So, let's take a look, alright? Can you recognize them? Can you tell what they are? Can you even tell? They're Intellivision games. Intellivision, a system that's very exciting. It was made around the same time as the Atari. Some would argue that the games were a little more robust, a little bit better experiences. I think that's up to the player. However, they are harder to find. Not extremely harder to find, but you'll generally walk in any retro store and see loose Atari games. You'll probably maybe see some boxed Intellivision games, but loose ones, especially put together for $9.99, you don't see that too much. So, I went for it. Alright, let's see what we got here. It's been some time since I've looked at these. I remember the one title that I grabbed this lot for, but the rest of them, who knows? I guess I don't need the razor here. Looks like there's a hole here. We'll start from the bottom and work our way up. Alright, what do we got here? Utopia. Pretty good game for the Intellivision. It is a real-time strategy game. Well, I don't know about real-time. Maybe turn-based. But you have an island, and you can populate it with resources or military. There's also a neighboring island where your friend can play. And the two of you can try and either work together or try and war countries. It's actually a pretty interesting game for the time, and doesn't play very badly, despite the Intellivision's unruly controller. Plays pretty well because it's turn-based, so not too bad. Good start. Micro Surgeon. Exactly what it sounds like. I haven't played this one, but apparently you're a doctor and you're helping somebody out. I hear it's pretty good. Sounds pretty innovative. You don't see that every day. What we got here? Triple Action! Oh my god. What a find. I thought there were only 10 games here. It turns out there's 12. This game has 3 different games on them, all pretty arcadey. Although I don't remember what they are. Maybe racing games? I think there may be like a top-down racer, and then like a vertical racer. The third game escapes me. I have no idea. So, that's pretty cool. I'll have to try that one. I've been playing the Intellivision lately. It's an exciting little system. I should have brought it. I apologize. I should have brought it. Oh well. Okay, here's the one that made me get the lot. A late title for the Intellivision, and these days, to the few people who still play Intellivision, it is a sought-after title, and is certainly harder to find than for $1. We found Thunder Castle. A very basic-looking label there, but pretty good stuff. Apparently, it is like a Pac-Man of sorts, except that you play as a knight, and there is a dragon to defeat. There are certain items, magical items, that you're looking for in order to be able to stand up against some of the harder foes. There's a gorgeous-looking title screen for an Intellivision game. If you saw it, you definitely see. I understand why people sometimes put the Intellivision, as far as quality and software, over the Atari 2600, despite them both being 4-bit systems. Thunder Castle is not one I had, And I'm looking forward to firing that one up. Poker and blackjack, who cares? Although, I will say, it seems as if the Intellivision at the time, the Magnavox especially, and the Intellivision really seemed to be pushing more than a two-player experience. So I wouldn't be shocked if you could play 4, maybe even 6 or 8 players with poker and blackjack here, and just pass the controller around. And the Intellivision controller has a phone numeric-like operating system interface on the controller, so there's plenty of options to be able to type in exactly what you want to bet, how many people are involved. It actually, that the numeric pad makes the Intellivision experience pretty streamlined. You'd be surprised for a 4-bit system how easily you and some friends can get together and enjoy them once you get, take 10, 20 minutes to get down the operating process. What's this? Nassau Soccer. What is that? National Associated Soccer League? I have no idea. Not that excited about that one. What's this here? Major League Baseball. Okay, bye. Okay, put that there. Alright. What do we got here? Horse racing. Here is a great game. You'd be shocked. But I've played it. Played it with friends. Very easy to get into. Very easy for everyone to place bets. And then you just sit there and watch the horses. And you go crazy. I believe there is an option to control 2 of the horses. But really, the real fun in this is, letting everybody bet. And then just sitting back and cheering for your horse. Or jeering your friends. Horse racing's really good. They did a great job on that. And again, the numeric touchpad really streamlines it. What's this? The Electric Company Word Fun. Alright, well, obviously, this is a child educational game. But there's a certain nostalgia to be had here in that it's the Electric Company. And if you grew up in America in the 70s and watched any public broadcasting, PBS, Public Broadcasting Channel? I can't believe I had a hard time figuring that out. You definitely have some memories here. I don't know what this one's like, but I would definitely at least put 10 minutes into it just to see if it rekindled any memories from the Electric Company for me. I think if it was only word fun, I wouldn't care. But the fact that it's the Electric Company certainly gives you an idea of the time that was put out. And finally, a final dollar game, B-17 Bomber, which has a striking gold label telling us that it is compatible with the IntelliVoice, which is an add-on that you can put into the side of the machine to make some digitized voicing. I don't know what B-17 Bomber's like, if it is like an action game, or maybe something a little more simulated. I don't know. But at the end of the day, Thunder Castle alone is worth more than 10, and it sounds like it's really fun. It sounds like it's one of the best games put out for the Intellivision. I'm not that big on Pac-Man, but I'm very big into swords and sorcery. So I'm very excited that we were able to add that to the holes to our Intellivision library. So that's it. Okay? We've stalled enough. It's time to go back to the ventilation shaft and drop down back into the main part of the ship. The hallway that connects the ventilation shaft to the elevator, which I was chased into. I don't even know if we're going to be able to drop in there. I really haven't checked. So this all may go to nothing. Probably what's going to happen is poor Laura will be killed. And once that happens, or it's going to come down to two ends. Either Laura's killed, or she manages to kill the alien who chased her into the ventilation shaft in the first place. Either way, someone's going to die on this voyage. And once that happens, we'll say goodbye to Laura and her adventures in the space station Ake, which is where we are unfortunately docked for this voyage. Don't worry. We made sure to seal off the Galleon from the space station so that none of the invisible aliens can get on. That's what they always say, right? Anyway, Enemy Zero for the Sega Saturn. Let's continue on our way. Okay. Get together, Riz. You know, another thing from a gameplay perspective on this, if looking at this, your initial thought is there's a lot of hallways here. We know we have to get close to him, the aliens. And the game does its best to give you every opportunity to move forward. You can just hold up on the D-pad and move nice and fluidly. You can even run forward by holding the B button. Okay? You know what you can't do, though? Is hold down on the D-pad to walk away. Now, you saw me there. I just moved backward. But notice, I'm holding the down pad right now. Laura only took one step backward. One. Every time I want her to walk backward, I have to press it again. That doesn't seem like much. But think of all the first-person shooters you've played, where you're just used to pressing back to giving yourself a little ground. On top of it, these aliens, once they're on top of you, it's over. So if you don't remember that you have to take every step back with Laura, and she can't get caught up on walls, it's curtains. Stepping back is not a good thing. You usually have to just... You gotta be ready. You gotta be ready. Now look. We're gonna hear the enemy, alright, when he's on top of us. He's gonna scream. That's when I have to charge the shot. On top of it, I have to wait until there's a final alert, a final siren. That means this is it. It's time to charge. It's time to let loose the pulse. Now he's in range. Okay? If you don't get it right, it's over. You can't do it too early. You can't do it when he's growling, okay? He's not close enough. And if you're not charged when you hear that siren, you're not going to have enough time. He's going to be on you. Let's see if we can get in here. Laura, do you want to go down? We don't. Oh, boy. Now we're really going into the unknown. Oh, boy. Okay. Just let me through. Alright, I know my way back to the charging station. It's not far from here. We just have to go through a couple of these smokes. And from there... Alright. I'm relatively sure. Let me double check down here. No? Okay, we're close. Basically, we have this earpiece. Alright, I'll show it to you. No, I can't show it to you because we're in the ventilation shaft. You can only access your inventory when you're in a room. In hallways and ventilation shafts, it's all this kind of real-time action stuff. And the only thing you can access is your gun. So, anyway, she only has a few tools. She has that logging thing that allows her to save. And I'm pretty sure this is where we started. Let me just backtrack. Because if we can figure out where we started, I'll know which way I haven't gone. Anyway, she has that logger to save and load. She can record what she's seen. She has the pulse gun, which has little to no charge in it. And then she has an earpiece, okay? And the earpiece is extremely important because the earpiece will let her know if there's an enemy in the vicinity, and it'll be by a pulse. A shrill pulse that will just continue to speed in... Oh, Jesus Christ. Alright, so look at this. So clearly there's an emergency door here. That has been closed. I can't get through here. Obviously there's got to be some sort of control panel or something that will open it. The closing... I mean, just hearing that open and shut kind of set me off. It's the main door. The emergency door has been put up, so I can only assume someone's back there. I hope. Again, I've never actually seen anybody in this game. I've seen, as far as living humans, I've seen some, like a 3-second video of the counselor, the ship's counselor. Her name is Kimberly. And she looks like she's scared or something, and then everything just goes to static. There's video phone interfaces that you can find in this. I put all my eggs in that basket with the ventilation shaft. I thought I'd be able to go back down. But Laura doesn't want to go back down there. It's probably easy to climb up, not so easy to jump back down. So we may never find another alien. I don't know. But if we're close to one, we're gonna hear it. I'll do my best to try and find us. I really figured that was the only way. Because there's that emergency door. There's the ventilation shaft that leads to the closet. There's this one. And the only thing that's in there... Let's go in. How much time do we have? Jeez, we gotta go, man. So this looks like it's the computer lab. And the guy who's in charge of information technology is called George. How do I know that? Well, I've been able to read the data, the crew log. And on top of it, we've got this computer here. And we try and move the mouse. We're not getting much. This is George's computer. And if you notice right here, look above the monitor. What do you see? A camera. Is it a security camera? Is someone watching? I have no idea. I've been able to access George's locker, which is actually where I was able to get this gun. I had to charge it though. Now that I've accessed it, I can't get back into George's locker. There's a door in here, but Laura seems to just walk right past it. You'll notice that this is a very adventure-like on rails kind of situation. And because of that, to be honest, I haven't really felt very lost in this game. You would think, how can you be playing a survival horror game and not be able to understand anybody? For the most part, I haven't really felt lost. I haven't. There was one time where I felt like I was stuck and a monster was killing me. And Laura was like yelling. Like, hey, open that up. Is this not his key card? Where's his key card? Those fingers. Those were the doctor's. Here we are. I needed to take the doctor's fingers to open a door with his fingerprints. George, on the other hand, left this key in his computer. So that's it. This is our only way, is the ventilation shaft. Anyway, it's just Laura. She doesn't talk much. I've played at least 3 hours in. I've died numerous times. I've had to do a little trial and error. But I really haven't needed to know English. That hasn't changed the fact that it's terrifying every time you hear the monsters. And I think, I hate to tell you, but it seems to me as if you were going to have to use the theater of the mind to wonder what that pulse is like when you're getting closer to a monster, and what that screech is like when they're about to devour Laura, or what that screech is like when Laura manages to dispatch one feet away from her despite not being able to see. I want to go a little farther here. We are running out of time though. Let's just go past this smoke and see. I feel like that ventilation shaft that just passed is the one at the elevator. And I didn't, when I initially got into this ventilation shaft, I didn't go this way because I wasn't able to determine if I could get past the smoke. But playing it enough, you can, the human mind is very resilient. And even if you can't understand in English what the developers gave you, if you give it a chance under the right circumstances, and I think Enemy Zero is one of those rare circumstances, you can do it. And to get this game in the Western market, it's a survival horror game on the Saturn. If you know anything about collecting, you'll know that is not easy to obtain a game of this genre for the Sega Saturn. It's very expensive. So to take this Japanese method is a lot cheaper. And now that I've played it, I can tell you that, you may not be able to beat it. This is where we started. That's where we charged up the gun. I guess we may as well just go back in there. And we'll save. And then that's it. We're gonna go. Yeah, this could be quite a little gem to your clay. Oh my god, we're back here in the IT lab! Alright, Laura, we're gonna leave it there. Thank you. No aliens. That being said, I was unsettled the entire time. Right there. Okay? The tension of knowing that I'm losing another 2% on the battery just to load the experience for you. The going back into the ventilation shaft, thinking I have a plan, and thinking it's going to be involving just jumping down and dealing with a monster. To play this in the dark is a very terrifying experience. I've really enjoyed it, and I recommend it. It's going to be hard to find, but even the Japanese version of Enemy Zero for the Sega Saturn comes recommended if you like to get scared. I generally don't. Anyway, let's hit the mailbag, all right, and then we'll say goodbye. Got some. We got some questions in here. We also got some Halloween candy. Okay, let's not do an airhead. I love airheads, but God, I'll be smacking on that for a minute, and we're running out of time. Okay? White chocolate Kit Kat. Alright, what do we got here? What are your feelings? What are your feelings on the $9.99 plan from Colonial Penn? What? Sincerely, Zadrian. I don't know. It's $10. How can you go wrong? I guess. Is that per month? Is that flat rate? I need more information. Do gnomes know that they're gnomes? What? Sincerely, Floofensnarf. I have no idea. I'm not a gnome. We don't have any on the ship. Sorry, I can't help you. Thanks for writing. Come on, there's got to be a question of substance. All I feel is candy. All right, here we go. No, that's not a question. Is it? This is like a letter from a year ago. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that's a bill. Maybe I should clean this thing out. God, I hope the candy's not expired. Alright, hold on. Oh my God! I don't have time for this. There we go. When will you assemble the model ship? What, this one? That sounds like a lot of work. Oh yeah. There's no way. The question is... The question isn't, when will I assemble the ship? The question is, when will I assemble both of them? That's from Worlds of Rogue. Thank you, Rogue. I know we have one more. I just turned off Mortal Kombat. Where was the last one? I guess that's it. Okay. Thanks for joining me. Good to see you again. Good to ride with you on this old ship of fools. We're still in the water, baby. Don't sweat it. Until next time, I want to wish each and every one of you a happy Halloween, and make sure out there to never underestimate the value of communication. Farewell and adieu to ye fair Spanish maidens. Farewell and adieu, ye ladies of Spain, for we received orders for to celebrate the greatest games post-mortem. And lo, nevermore shall we see ye all again. Laura, I'm sorry, sweetheart. You're on your own. Keep your powder dry.